Okay, so this is round one of locals here. I'm playing blue JJK. My opponent is playing purple Bleach. Uh, my opening hand, I accidentally draw an additional card, but the hand is unplayable. I only have 1-0 cost here, so I have to mulligan. And in the second hand, I see 3 domain expansion. But at least I have a Nobara to try to draw out of it. And then I have 2-0 cost, so at least the hand is somewhat playable. My opponent is also mulliganing. I believe his opening hand had like 2 Getsugas and a lot of raid bodies, is what he said to me. So he is also mulliganing here. My blue JJK build is Yuji Nanami hybrid. His purple bleach build actually plays the Rukia raid body, so it is not Renji Rush. I believe he plays all of the raids from Renji, Rukia, and Ichigo with their respective raid bodies. So with Rukia, it's the 3 drop that draws a card and discards a card when attacking. So as we look at the opening hands here, his opening hand is also not great. He has 0 raids in hand and just a bunch of the weenies. I drew a Nobara here. I discarded Domain Expansion. Do not need the third one in my hand. He plays Renji into Orihime, set up a 2 energy gen. I draw into a 2 energy gen Yuji, so that's great. So I can just set up for next turn, play the Yuji, play the Nanami, and now my turn is set up for I'm gonna raid up the Sukuna, see what I can draw, and then continue from there. He puts down the 1 drop to see what he can draw out of the top of his deck. He decides to keep it on top, and then he bounces it with the Orihime. So slower start because he had to put the Orihimes down, but now he has his 4 energy up for uh, any potential raids in the future, of which only he has 1 5 energy one and a bunch of 4 energy ones. For me, move up Nobara. Let's domain expansion here. Put down the Nanami as a bridge. I tapped to Drew as well because I drew into the 4th domain expansion. I put the 2 energy gen Yuji in the back, and then I raid up the Sukuna. And I use both domain expansions here. I use 2 domain expansions here, just to further extend here. Again, my deck also functions functionally on 4 energy. So I basically discarded Nanami, and then you can see I have 2 Yuji raids, but I decide to keep this in the back actually after further thinking, because just in case I hit a Sukuna or a Yuji raid out of life, it's better to have that Yuji in the back so I can have 3 energy gen, and then I can put down 1 for 4 energy just in case, like a 0 cost. Uh, Hit a color trigger out of life, which is the greatest time to hit a purple color trigger when they have nothing engraved. And he also hits a draw trigger off the Rukia. He puts down to peek again. Uh, he debates keeping on top. He does keep it on top. As you can see, he has 3 of the little Renji little bodies here, and he basically says, "Okay, I'm gonna put down the 3,500 in the back, Rukia, and then I'm going to use the Getsuga to answer your Sukuna, and I'm gonna put the 3,500 Rukia in the front." He could have put the second Rukia in the front, the one that's in the back. I believe that's also a play. Um, yeah, but maybe he's scared of the Rukia is getting killed on the front line and not having the raid fodder for the Rukia raid, which is obviously the most impactful thing in the Bleach deck. It fills sideline and gives free filter. Draw 3, trash 2 is crazy. There's a reason that card is banned in Yu-Gi-Oh! Graceful Charity. Um, so I promote the Yuji. I have another Yuji raid body. I drew into a third one, so you can see the second one going down there. I have the third one in hand, and then I basically keep the Nanam. I raid up the Nanami, and I tap to do that turn. So those are my 2 actions for the turn. He hits the 4 drop raid out of life, and then he also hits a color trigger. So he has the 1 drop to play again. See, it's the same card he put on top, so he keeps it. Draws into it. And so he has a couple of options here. He chooses to do this one, which is a draw 2 discard 1. Draws into the third Orihime, which is an immediate discard. He has a couple of options here. He could have moved up the Rukia to swing and get more free filter, and put down stuff in the back just as like for more energy gen. I believe his play actually, though, that he chooses to do, as he puts down the Renji raid here, and he uses the Renji raid in order to pop the Nobara as the Renji pops any 3K. Uh, Obviously, he would love to see an Ichigo 5-drop, but you know his hand is not cooperating, and he doesn't see anything like a Bankai or a Getsuga Tensho off that. So it's just the Renji raid. Pop the Nobara, use the sideline resources, remove 4 to the removal area, pop the Nobara. Again, Purple Bleach is always dependent on their, you know, how much is in their sideline. But definitely a slower start from Purple Bleach, as he's not seeing like the super impactful raids like the Rookie or the 5-drop. Hit a finger out of life, and then I hit a Sukuna out of life. This is great. So I believe I draw into like the color trigger Yuji, and I also draw into, with this Sukuna, I decided to raid it because I believe I draw into a color trigger Yuji and a Yuji little body, so I can get to 3. As keep in mind, I have the domain expansion, so the 2 AP cost color UG is not as prohibitive a cost, and I believe I also have the finger out of life. Basically, lets my color UG actually bounce something and not just be 2 AP just put on the board for 2 energy gen. Promote the Sukuna here. I'm counting the fingers, seeing if I have enough for impact. I do not. I only have the 1. So very fortunate I drew into that. Put down the UG little body. Domain expansion here. Go back up to 2. I think again I'm counting, double checking that I'm seeing that I have the 1 finger because obviously the color trigger does not bounce. Put down the color trigger. This is always an immediate bounce of the. It's either going to be the Rukia or the Ichigo. I bounce the Ichigo because if I hit a 5-drop out of life, that's obviously more threatening than the Rukia out of life. And then I play down the UG bounce here. And I still have 4 in the back just in case I hit something out of life again as a raid. You either bounce the Rukia or you bounce the Renji. I wouldn't bounce the Ichigo here simply because if it comes down again with the 1-drop in the raid on top of the 1-drop, he gets the free filter, and then he obviously has the impact to draw. I was deciding here, if I bounce the Rukia here, he still has the Rukia in the back to raid over, so it's just not worth bouncing that Rukia. So I decided to bounce the Renji in the end. Because my board is full of 4Ks, it doesn't matter if he Renji raids. If he has to spend 2 AP to get out a Renji raid that doesn't even remove anything on my board, then that's just... The 2 AP is an exorbitant cost for him. So, bounce the Renji here. Back to his hand, I believe, after thinking. Just talking through with my opponent right now about, okay, which do I bounce? What do I bounce here? So yeah, we bounce the Renji in the end. We're swinging here. We always swing with Nanami first because Nanami has defensive utility. He turns into a, like when you kill him, you can mill 2 and you can tap down a character. So very important on the defensive. He hits nothing out of life there. I'm swinging with these little, these 4K UGs first because I'm saying, well, if I had impact on the Sukuna, I would basically say you have to block. You have to give me your blocks. Otherwise, I'm threatening lethal. But he hits, unluckily, he hits both of the 2 energy gen UGs out of, or Ichigo's out of life. You can see his hand here. Oh, just none of the raids. Like, so unfortunate. He basically has, like, a bunch of little bodies, and then the raid is only the Renji. And, like, that's it. So, he's forced to just basically put up a bunch of 0 bodies in the front. Yeah, I believe it goes Renji, and then it goes into the 1-drop. Yeah, and the 1-drop peaks the top. I believe he keeps it on top. It is I believe it ends up being the 5-drop. So, it's just a 1 turn too late. Discards the Ichigo. He says, are you going to block that? I just choose to take it because I'm planning on ending it next turn. I believe he's at 1 life here. I choose not to raid it because, again, my energy line. If I raided it, I would have 3 energy in the back. I choose to tap to draw, just seeing what I can get. I drew a ratio out of life. Just drawing Nobara. Dropping Nobara, see what I can filter. Discard Nino. And then with my last AP here, I ratio the Rukia to the top of his life. Or top of his deck. So if he hits the final here, it basically says your next life, I guarantee, isn't a final with the Rukia. And that's GG's there. He just decides to take it. Yeah, you can see here, he just didn't draw any of his raids until very late in the game. He saw only the Renji and the Ichigo, the one Renji and the one Ichigo. So just a very, very, like, the deck did not cooperate. Yeah, the 5-drop, the 4-drop. You can see there's, oh my god, there's uh, 2 Rukias and 2 5-drops at the bottom of his deck. So yeah, the Ruki is very important in this matchup as it allows you to see the filter and fill up your sideline. So just a slow start from Purple Bleach, and I was able to take it with Bleach JJK.